Hey everyone, welcome to the show. I have a special guest today. You will recognize her if you've been following the show for a while. I have Pam Hemphill here. She is a January 6th participant. She was convicted. She was sent to prison for 2 months. Pam saw my video about her. As you all know, I do sentencing videos, arrest videos on everyone involved in January 6th. And I came across an article that talked about how Pam basically put Donald Trump in his place. She told him on Twitter, I think it was, or maybe it was Truth Social or Troth Central, as he calls it, that he was trying to use her to, garner sympathy for January 6 participants, and she was having none of it. She let him know, don't use me as, your poster child for January 6th. So Pam has had an awakening. She has realized that she made a mistake. Has enough character to admit that she made a mistake and that she shouldn't have been there January 6th. She shouldn't have fallen for Donald Trump's lies. So I have now invited her on the show for the second time. Welcome, Pam.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I was excited to talk with you again. I have some questions. Something came up in my comments section that I want to ask you about. So first of all, love the shirt. I was telling
Yeah.
Pam before we started recording that my audience was going to love it and probably want to know where she got it, but she doesn't remember. So just Google it if you want to get a shirt like that. But yeah, one audience member I have said that they had heard that you were planning to vote for Ron DeSantis in the primary. Is that true? If so, why?
Well, I never did any research on Ron DeSantis. And when I heard that he was racist, I dropped that idea real quick. See, I'm still Republican
Hmm.
because what I'm trying to do is sound the alarm about Project 2025. Right now, as a Republican, and I hope Republicans, some of them are listening, because of Project 2025, you can't vote for any Republican. They want to make anybody in office a dictator, and it's very frightening. So, no,
Yeah.
there was a moment of insanity that one day. I thought I'd check him out, and,
Yeah.
and because, yeah, no, no,
Yeah.
I'm not voting for. No, I'm voting for Biden.
Yeah. He's definitely the mini Trump.
Yeah, I found out a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. So even Nikki Haley, I mean, just today, I don't know if you heard the comments that she made just today saying that, oh, America has never been a racist country. It's like, really?
Oh,
I
oh,
mean,
where's she?
there was kind of that slavery thing and, segregation. I mean, I don't understand her. I mean, I do. That's the sad part. She's just a grifter and, she's trying to appeal to Trump's voters, which is never going to happen. So she's just making an
No,
ass out of herself. But
remember what she just said was she wants everybody's legal name on Twitter. And then she
hmm,
backed off and said, no, just the foreigners. But no,
yeah,
and don't worry about Trump picking her. He's not going to pick her. You know why? Because he learned his lesson by having somebody with integrity
yeah,
with Pence. He doesn't want somebody that has integrity. So she's not going to
yeah,
be his vice president.
yeah. Although, I mean, we have to ask how much integrity could she have, considering that she keeps talking about, oh, if I win, I'll definitely pardon Trump.
Oh
So,
no, I haven't heard that. Well,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
that's scary.
she was asked in interviews, and it came up in I think it came up even in one of the debates. I know they asked her and the others in a debate if they would support Trump if he was the nominee, and she said yes, she definitely will. But in an interview, she said, for sure, I know that, yeah, I will. I talked about it a couple weeks ago on my show that she said, we don't need an 80-year-old man sitting in prison, keep continuing to divide the country or something to that effect. And so, yeah, she would. in her mind, she would pardon him to bring the country together. And I thought, you want to see riots? Go pardon him. That is the number one way to see riots in the street. So,
she's trying to appease to the MAGA cult. That's all.
mhm,
She just lost her integrity by lying. She will
yeah.
not pardon him. She's not going
And
to
they
pardon
hate
him.
her. They
Yeah.
recently had a conference. I forget which group held a conference just about a month ago, and they were literally chanting to hang her. Like they hate her. So I don't know what she's thinking trying to appeal to the MAGA crowd, but
Well, they shouldn't be saying things like that.
oh
That's not
no.
helping.
No.
Yeah.
No. I mean they shouldn't be doing it, but she for her to think that she has a chance of winning them over is just it's insane.
Yeah.
So
It's like a dog and pony show right now.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, she just proves what a grifter she is and a shapeshifter, you know. I mean, she will just try to fit herself into any mold to win votes, and it's sickening.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now tell me what's going on with you. I mean, I don't know if my audience knows, but you do Twitter spaces all the time, and I refuse to call it X. I've explained on here before that if they refuse to call people by the gender that they want and the names that they choose, then I'm not going to call it X. They can't be transsocial. So they're Twitter forever and always. So you do Twitter spaces. You're constantly bringing people on to talk about the truth about January 6th, trying to expose the truth. Um, have you gained any traction? Like, have you had anyone reach out and say, I was all on board with MAGA, or I was even there on January 6th, and you're opening my eyes? Anything like that?
No, not with January 6th
Oh,
defendants
wow.
or MAGA. No, a few Republicans have told their story to me a little bit on Twitter and how
Hmm.
they've left the Republican Party, but that's about it. I mean, the MAGA's too far gone right now.
Wow.
Their brain's been hijacked by Trump.
Yeah.
They're too. You can't even. What we need to do is really get our friends and family to go vote. That's our weapon right now, to go vote for Biden.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is disheartening to hear that you haven't been able
No.
to flip anyone. Have you been threatened at all? Have you had any
Oh yeah.
scary, yeah, like
Oh yeah. I had
physically
to.
threatened?
No, I've had
No.
to call my local police though and let them know about a threat for SWAT. And somebody gave me a call about, do you have life insurance? I said, I don't need to buy anything. He says, well, you better get it. They hung up.
Oh,
What little stupid,
yeah,
you know, they're just trying to shut me down, but it's not going to work. I don't get scared with threats. It just
yeah,
doesn't bother me. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, you recently faced down cancer, so
Yeah. You
if they
go
think
through,
they're gonna scare you,
you
they
have
got another thing
chemotherapy.
coming.
You don't want to wish chemotherapy on your worst enemy.
Oh yeah, yeah,
It's horrifying.
yeah, yeah. I've had
Yeah.
many family members that have gone through it. It's a horrific disease. Well, but I'm sorry to hear that though, even though, you're strong and you're tough, it just, I never thought in our country, in all my life, I would see domestic terrorism like this. I mean, just political domestic terrorism. And I think we're like the frog that's been boiled, it just slowly, the temperature crept up on us and caught us off guard. And it's almost like we just accept it as normal now. And that terrifies me too, because there's a lot of people in this country, a lot of younger generations that this is all they've ever known is this Trump era of violence and bombacity and threats and craziness. So they've never known what it's like. So to them, it's like, oh yeah, well this is politics. This is the way it is. And I think it's so important that we keep reminding people, no, I mean, not even 10 years ago, if you told someone that it was going to be like this, 7 years later, you know, they would look at you like you're crazy. They'd be like, there's no way. There's no way the Republican Party would go along with things like this or allow someone to do things like this.
Yeah, actually, they've been sitting on it since Project 2025, since 1980. It's just prime time right now for them to jump on it and implement it because of Trump. And
Hmm.
he's it's all because of Trump. Trump ain't going to know anything about Project 2025. He's just going to go along with it.
Right.
You know, it's horrifying if
Yeah, he's too
people
lazy.
they want
Too
to
lazy
they
to
want to
look
make it.
into it, but he'd be happy to to be their shill. Can you
They're
explain to
good.
people, for those who haven't heard about Project 2025, what it is, how it came to be, or what you know? I know that you're not the expert in it, but can you tell us what little you know about it?
Well, right now I'm reading on it and I'm listening to a lot of videos and get on my Twitter page at Pam
Hmm.
Hemphill 79. And what I do is take information and share it so you can
Hmm.
learn. And it's frightening. It's like this. I explain it this way. They want to outlaw gay marriage. They'll probably arrest you if you have an abortion. Just those two
Hmm.
things should scare you really bad.
Yeah.
It's based on the Christian nationalist beliefs, which most Christians today are pushing back on them. It's not a Christian organization, believe
Yeah.
me. Uh, they're phony as can be, but it's frightening. They want to make the president like a dictator. It's the same playbook as Hitler. It's
Hmm.
not any different. They want to dismantle the DOJ and all our systems. It's not going to be. It's going to be more policies, not like a law they're going to try to change. And they're going to bring people on and train them how to be inside the agency. For an example, when I worked as an alcohol and drug counselor, the state was able to tell us how to write our notes. You couldn't say certain things in a note. It'll be similar to that. Well, they'll be changing so many things. But the
Wow.
laws, oh, they want to they have no business. What they're trying to do is push their values on you.
Hmm.
Okay, it's okay if you're against abortion. It's okay if you don't believe in gay marriage. However, you don't make it a law. That's their
Right.
freedom to decide if they want to have an abortion or not,
Yeah.
who they want to marry. It's none of our business. But
Right.
they want to make their Christian values law, and
Right.
that's frightening. And that's what creates wars.
Yeah. Well, that's what cracks me up about the Republican Party, or the leaders, quote unquote, of the Republican Party, how they're always talking about freedom and liberty and how the Democrats are trying to take your freedoms away and blah, blah, blah. But they're the ones that are trying to tell people how they can and can't live, who they should and shouldn't be. And it's like, I mean, like the group Moms for Liberty, it's like, okay, if you don't want your child to read something that has an LGBTQ narrative or theme, don't let them read it. But why are you allowed to tell another parent's child that
Exactly.
they can't read it?
Exactly.
Maybe that parent wants their child to understand that there are different people in the world and everybody isn't cookie cutter and it's okay and you should love everyone and accept everyone. And if you are LGBTQ, you should love and accept yourself and not feel bad about yourself. And, they just want to ram everything down everybody's throat. But then they're
Yeah,
all
but
up in arms. Oh, they're trying to take our guns and take our freedom. And it's like, okay, we had Barack Obama in office for 8 years. And at one point, they had a super majority in Congress where they could have pretty much passed anything they want. And they didn't take Republicans' guns away. So it's like, just stop. It's like, it's such a tired, played out narrative.
Well, Project 2025 too is based on family values, right? Okay.
Hmm.
What you hear from the MAGA cult, it's really, I have to laugh because this is how hypocritical they are. I don't care that Trump cheated on his pregnant wife. he's the best person to be the president, right? So
Yeah.
is that their family values that
Yeah.
it's that the husband can cheat on his wife? See how hypocritical it is?
Hmm. Oh,
That's
yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what cracked me up. I'm going to be doing a segment later today about the Iowa caucus. And one of the questions that they asked people was, why are you voting? Why are you caucusing for the candidate of your choice? And the number one answer was, because they share my values. Now, we all know Trump won by a landslide. And these people are saying by and large, oh, because he shares my values. So you're a cheater, a liar, a thief, you're an authoritarian. You are, just a scumbag, someone who's been found liable for raping a woman now, accused of raping a child back in the 80s. I mean, really? But he shares your values.
They come in there with that, and then they're the ones that say the F word. Is that your
Hmm.
value? I don't believe in cussing unless it's in private. That's my value. That's how I feel. I have that value. Do I
Yeah.
make it a law? Do I make it where you can't cuss anymore? Well,
Yeah.
we better start with the Republicans because they're the ones that do most of the cussing. They do. You
Yeah.
should see them. But remember, they've been their brains been hijacked by Trump
Hmm.
as a narcissist, by the
Yeah.
love bombing that he did to them. They're so blinded they can't see or hear anything right now.
Oh yeah. No, he's very good at manipulating
Mm-hmm.
people. That is
Yeah.
something I will give him
Ooh.
credit for. He is excellent at knowing exactly what someone wants to hear about themselves and then exploiting that. And I've mentioned it before on the show that I had a former
Yeah.
business partner who was basically a mini Trump. He was so good at it. He was a master manipulator and marketer. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they make it all about you, what you most prize, what you want to believe about who you are and your talents. And then they just completely play that up and praise you, lavish praise on you, make you think you're the greatest thing in the world. And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you're willing to do anything for them. So
Yeah.
that's why, I try to tell people, you're not going to convince a Trump supporter that he's a bad person, because then they have to accept that what he says about them is not true. And they don't want to believe that they're not all those things that he keeps telling them. They,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah. I
And
had a
being
similar dynamic in my family. And so I learned very young that, yeah, when you want to believe that this person heaping praise on you, is right, then yeah, you can't break that seal. You can't get through that barrier with them, because it destroys what they want to believe about themselves.
exactly.
It it's it has so little to do with Trump.
Yeah, when you're involved with a narcissist and somebody mentions that to you, that you need to start looking at that. That's what they said to me. Pam, he's a narcissist. This
Hmm.
boyfriend I was dating, denial was the first thing. What? You don't know him as well as I do. But they love bomb you so good and you
Yeah,
can't understand. And then they turn around and stab you in your back.
yeah,
They they may do so much crazy making that you lose all sense of what's real. And
yeah.
then they come back to that loving person again, and that's Trump. But
Hmm.
he's just using. They're not capable of loving or caring about anybody. It's
Yeah,
impossible for them to be able to do that.
yeah. It
But
really is an abusive relationship.
it is. He's extremely dangerous, but he's the dangerous one because he's using the
Yeah,
nation to do his dirty work for him,
yeah,
like he did on January 6th.
yeah.
Why tell us to go down to the Capitol? He
Right.
was already there. He had a speech.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, and what cracks me up is, so many of the evangelicals on the right voted for him last night, and they still just think he is. I mean, there's literally people, on camera saying, oh, he was sent by God, he's anointed by God. And I question, okay, well, if he was sent by God, anointed by God, whatever, however you want to frame it, why did he lose in 2020? And of course they'll say, oh, well, he didn't lose, he won by a landslide. Well, then why did God allow the Democrats to steal the election? I mean, they didn't, we know that, but in their mind it was stolen. So it's like, okay, well, if God anointed him, then he should have been able to overcome all of those obstacles.
Mhm.
He should have been able to figure it out and find the evidence and, get Joe Biden out of office and take back the White House and all of that. It's like their faith only extends to what they want. I wish if they were truly the faith-based people, the Christians that they claim they are, then they would say, you know what? If it was meant to be, it would have been. And maybe I need to accept that God is telling me he's not the anointed one. He's not the chosen one. Because if he was, then he would have won. But
Exactly.
they only believe in God when it suits them and when it fulfills their purpose and they get their way, then it was God's will.
Yeah, the Heritage Foundation is they're the ones that's in charge of Project 2025. But we have the Christians right now. You can look it up. They're pushing back as hard as they can on
Yeah.
this Christian nationalist. Yeah, because what they're doing is wrong. Well, didn't the devil come as an angel of light? They have a
Yeah.
picture of a light around Trump.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it's deceiving everybody.
Yeah, there's a
Deceiving.
great book out there. Trying to think of the name. It's like the glory,
Yes, I
power.
know.
Tim Alberta is the author. His father was a pastor, so he literally grew
Right.
up in the church. Yeah, excellent, excellent book for anyone who's looking for something to read. Or I got the book on, Audible because I never have time to just sit down and read anymore, which I really miss. But um, he narrated it, and the awakening that he had in realizing how nasty some of the, it's not some, many of these quote unquote evangelicals have become in the era of Trump, and how they've turned against him because he's not on board with Trump. And, they make him out like he's no longer a Christian when in reality, it's the complete opposite. It's so ironic that they would say that to him when
I know.
they're going against everything that God would want.
Yeah,
So,
I saw a video where a preacher was saying, if you're a Democrat, get out of my church right now and go to hell. It was like, what?
mhm,
I couldn't believe it was a preacher saying all these terrible things to people,
yeah,
to the Democrats. It was horrifying. Like,
yeah,
oh my God.
yeah.
Yeah, scary.
Yeah, well,
Just be aware.
I asked him. I actually reached out to Tim Alberta, asked him to come on the show. I haven't heard back, but
Oh,
I would love to
that'd
have
be
him on
good.
because yeah,
Hmm.
I went to church very faithfully every weekend for probably 3 years solid, and got turned off by some anti-LGBTQ stuff that went on. But then it was like the final nail in the coffin when I found out that the pastor, his wife, a bunch of the other secondary pastors and people who I thought, were good people and we were friends with had gone for Trump and they were all on board. And I just thought, it's just so hypocritical. And they just don't see it or they don't want to see it. And to me, for a lot of them, I think it was about money. I think it was because they're wealthy and they wanted to hold on to everything they could. And that is not what it says in the Bible. They try to twist it,
Exactly.
but I mean, there's a reason why it says in the Bible it's easier for a camel to get through the eye of a needle than for a wealthy man to get into heaven. They seem to
Exactly.
pass over that.
Yeah. There was one of the forefathers, and I can't think of his name right now, but he knew the danger of church and politics,
Hmm.
And he said, you have your God with your rules. I have my God with my rules. Don't quote me. This is exactly it. This is how I
Right.
explain it.
Hmm.
And if we don't do something, we'll have a war on what rules we should make as laws, right?
Hmm.
So thank God for the Constitution. And they're not even what they're wanting is not in the Constitution at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Well, and they don't want to follow what is in the Constitution, like this
No.
amendment that, the 14th Amendment where they're trying to remove
Yeah.
Trump. They keep saying, "Oh, it's unconstitutional to remove him." It's like, no, it's literally in the Constitution. We're trying
Yeah.
to follow it, and you're saying no.
Yeah. Why didn't they speak up about it 10 years ago? I mean,
Yeah,
if they didn't
yeah,
like it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
We know they're not thinking that there's something that, again, they're very ill people. And I don't say that to put people down. You know
mhm,
that. But as an alcohol and drug counselor, and if you've heard from other professionals, we have a duty to warn and let
yeah,
the society know that this is a very dangerous man. And
yeah.
he's hijacked their brain. They are brainwashed. They're not well right now. And you got to have some patience with them.
His
But to me,
supporters, I believe that.
yeah,
I believe, though, that the Congress members, I believe the Republican Congress members know better and that they have a responsibility to step up and tell the truth. And they are the most despicable to me because they do know better. They know what he's all about. They've been up close and personal with him. They saw firsthand what he did to the country and how
yeah.
he was in the White House, and they're going along with it anyway. And so to me, they are just heinous, vile people. And yeah,
Yeah.
I think if there is a hell, they are going to burn in hell for what they're allowing to happen to our country.
Money and power. If they
Yeah,
have faith in a God, they sure don't have faith that God's going to have them reelected. They're having faith that the MAGA is going to have them reelected.
yeah,
They got their morals and values all backwards right now. It's all
yeah,
about money, and money brings power, and they want power. It's really sad
yeah,
to see that they've lost their integrity. But
yeah.
we
Now
can
let
vote,
me ask you,
vote them
because
out.
you say you're still a Republican. So what is it about the Republican Party, or why do you still think of yourself as a Republican, given what the Republican Party now stands for, what they don't stand for anymore?
It's a tough one. I'm 70 years old, okay? So I come from the old school, way back.
Hmm.
I don't know what to do right now. Um, I'm just not putting it out there publicly what I would probably do as far as parties changing, because I'm kind of a Cheney. I mean, I'm not Liz Cheney, but the same mindset as her. You
Right.
don't want to change your party, but you want to change the party. You want to be
Yeah.
a part of bringing them back. And even Cox Anderson, in her new book, Democracy Awakening, says
Hmm.
that she's a historian, that the Republicans have been able to bring themselves back in history. She's more of a historian. So I'm hoping that will happen. But even she is doubting it right now. It's like
Yeah.
they're too far gone. So
Yeah.
I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do right now, but I know I will vote Democrat. I know that for sure. Yeah.
So are you more fiscally conservative? Is that because I know you're open to, pro-choice, you're open to
Mm-hmm.
LGBTQ. So are you
Yeah.
more liberal on, uh, policies like that, and then fiscally conservative, or what part of the Republican Party
Mm.
agenda is it that you align with?
Well, I don't know. I just know that people just want to pay their rent. They want to be able to buy food for their children and save money for retirement, and go to the movies and play golf on the weekends. And, people are just tired of all this fighting. And I'm just for freedom, the Constitution, and whoever wants
Hmm.
to really implement that in our nation and stop this fighting. And
Yeah.
because they're all bipartisan right now. It's like they need to come together and work together again like they used to. It's frightening. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm still
You know,
confused
I
with
would
it.
say yes, come together and work together if we didn't have such a crazy Republican Party right now. If it was a Republican Party of the old days where you just had policy differences, I think they could do
Yeah,
that. But when you have literally one party that wants to destroy the country, install a
yeah.
dictator, literally, I just saw a video this morning of a woman saying, yes, she wants to see Joe Biden eliminated. She wants to see him assassinated. And,
No, really.
yeah. And so I think when you have that on that side, there is really no coming together with crazy. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah,
you
that's you.
yeah, I mean you can come
I,
together with the Liz Cheneys, but then I even look at like even Liz Cheney voted with Trump like 96% of the time or something really insane like that.
oh, she
And
did.
yeah, and she's very anti-abortion. I mean, she cheered when they got rid of Roe versus Wade.
Oh,
I mean,
oh,
she's
okay. I didn't know
very
that.
conservative. So
Oh,
that's the thing. I think there's a lot of Republicans, quote unquote, registered Republicans out there like you, which is why I was kind of trying to drill down on it. Because I think a lot of people, like, they'll register when they're young and then they just never think about it or they never change it. I know my husband was like that. His family was very conservative. They're still very conservative. They're all registered Republicans. So he just registered as a Republican when he got into his, late teens, early 20s.
right.
And he never really thought about it until I started asking him, but, you're pro-choice. You're pro LGBTQ. You're not for big business. You're for small business and
Mm,
being fair and helping people when you can and helping out average Americans and you're not about giving tax breaks to the rich. So when he started to really think about it, he was like, oh yeah, those are Republican values. Those are the things that Republicans want. They want to stop gay marriage. They want to harm people who are different. They want to keep people out of the country
yeah.
if they're not white, straight males. And, so he had an awakening and, now he's registered, I believe now he's a registered independent. I don't think, I'm trying to think, because in California, you can't vote in the primary unless you're, a Democrat. You have to be with your party. So
Mm,
I can't remember if we switch him over for the general election or if he, just stays independent. But anyway, that's the thing. I think a lot of people are like you that they just go, "Oh, I've just always been a Republican, and I like Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger because they're anti-Trump and they're fighting him and they're fighting for, what the country is supposed to stand for." But when you get down to a policy level and
yeah.
what they voted for and against and, what they are for and against on a value-based level, a lot of people, when they realize it, they go, "Oh, yeah, I'm not truly a Republican in that sense."
You're right. And I've been saying this to myself and others that we don't do enough research. We need to find out how they vote. So
Yeah.
shame on me. I didn't research that about her. So thank you for telling me that.
Yeah, but
Well, I
actually,
think,
oh, go ahead.
well, it's just how they're pushing back on Trump. See, right now,
Yeah.
my whole thing is about Trump. I don't care if
Mhm.
I'm a Republican, Democrat, or I'm an alcohol and drug counselor. I have no business in politics.
Yeah.
I'm an addiction specialist. I don't know.
Yeah.
I barely passed history. I didn't like it. I got an A in anthropology, but in psychology. But yeah, we need to do more research and find out things. But maybe independent is a good idea to become an independent.
Yeah.
I'm still lost in this right now, but
Yeah.
I'm going to
Yeah,
decide
that's
for myself.
understandable.
I got to do my own research. I still got time.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just knew about Liz Cheney because I guess, while the January 6th Select
Mm.
Committee was doing all their work and getting ready to do their televised hearings, the whole Roe versus Wade thing happened, where
No,
the
right.
Supreme Court got rid of it,
Yeah.
and Liz Cheney was super excited, and she was the one who told
Mm.
this story, that I think it was Jamie Raskin said to her, you know oh, you're excited about this? And she said, yes, Jamie, I am still a Republican. Or
Oh,
something like I am still conservative or something like that. So, yeah.
mm. That's sad. That,
Yeah.
keep your own values, but don't push them on others. That
Yeah.
isn't this America? I mean, I thought
Right.
that's what America was about. And
Yeah.
that's why we give people freedoms to be themselves, live the way they want. A woman's body is nobody's. Come on, stay
Yeah.
out of the woman's people's bedrooms. It's like
Yeah.
you, what I mean? None of their
Yep.
business.
Yep.
Mm.
I always say, I don't judge anybody for anything they do as long as they're not
Mm.
hurting any other living being.
Right.
As long as they're not crossing the line, they're not hurting another human, they're not hurting an animal, they're not,
Yeah.
causing
Right.
harm. Do what you got to do. You do you. I could care less, or I couldn't care less.
Exactly.
um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so many people just, it just scares them. And I heard something once, and this might help you to make your decision. There was this, I think it was a psychologist that was interviewed, and they were saying that Republicans, if you look at their basic nature, how they think, how they feel, when they did studies and they did questionnaires with people who lean liberal versus people who lean conservative, what they found is that the conservatives are very fear-based. They're very fearful of everything. They're afraid of losing. They're
Mm.
afraid of, having this taken away. They're afraid of everything in life is just scary to them. So that's why they cling to their guns. That's why they, are so afraid of having things taken away, people who don't look like them, people who don't think like them. It's just everything is terrifying. And I thought, God, what a horrible way to live. you know, I mean, be afraid of some things because, that's called self-preservation and it's going to keep you alive. But I mean, to go through life being constantly fearful and insecure about everything, and you're definitely not like that.
Well, I've had to work on fears. Fear is a fear of losing what you have or not getting what you want, right? But I think it's more paranoid. They're extreme.
Hmm.
They got more paranoia going on than not the normal fear like you and I would have. If a
Yeah.
dog comes, we're a little afraid to step back.
Right.
But yeah, they're paranoid. It's like, and they have things in their head that's not really happening. You
Yeah.
know, we're the ones that have to be afraid now. I mean, the
Yeah.
Democrats, because
Yeah.
they do really want to take away your democracy. That's a fact.
Yeah.
That's something to be a little scared about. But go
Hmm.
vote. Get your friends and family to vote. That's
Yeah.
our weapon is voting.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not paranoid for us to say that or
Mm.
hyperbole. I mean, they've said it. I have
Right.
seen videos with people saying, yeah, if we're going to be a dictatorship, I'd want Trump to be the dictator and be in charge of the country. I mean, they're just putting it out there, so we
Oh,
have to
I
act
know.
accordingly.
They say I'm proud to be in a cult.
Yeah.
I'm proud to be a gangster, because he did
Yeah.
that post to that mafia guy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
They're just kind of making fun of it now. Yeah, I'm a mega cult member.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's sad. That's kind of sad. But I think
Yeah.
I see what they're trying to do is just not face reality right now. And I get it. I didn't want to look at it either. I've been there. I've been in their head. I was a mega. So I
Yeah.
know exactly what's going on with them. And I was with the narcissist. So I know what happens when you're with the narcissist. I
Mm.
didn't see that I was in a narcissist with Trump. You just
Right.
don't recognize it.
Yeah.
You don't, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I'm so glad that you have, come out of it, and I'm so
Yeah.
glad that you're sticking to your guns, and you've been all over the place. I know, you were on CNN recently. What other shows do you have coming up where you're going to be speaking about all of this?
Well, I was on Midas Touch
Oh,
with
yeah, that's
Jessica,
right. Yeah, just this week.
Jessica,
Yeah.
and then Beasley. Forgot his first
Oh,
name.
yeah, Luke
Oh,
Beasley. Yeah.
Luke Beasley. Yeah,
Yeah.
this Saturday.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
but just so your audience knows, everybody's, well, I'm being called an FBI agent. I'm making a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
They don't.
I, I've
They
I
don't
have
pay
been
you.
too. I know. Yeah,
I,
no, I've been
I
told I'm an FBI agent. I'm undercover this, I'm undercover that.
well,
I'm, deep state. I'm,
well, let,
working for the Chinese Communist Party.
well, let me explain something. Um, if if you take money from talking about January 6th, shame on you, because that was the worst day in our history.
Hmm.
And my integrity and how I live my life today is more important than any money. What's, give me a break. If
Yeah.
there have been some book agents that wanted to consider writing a book, and I told them
Mhm.
any of my proceeds have to go to the Capitol Police, black and white.
Oh,
I
wow.
don't make
That's
any money
nice.
off of it. However, nobody wants to touch me. Lawyers, I like to sue
Mm.
Trump because it's so controversial, J
Yeah.
Sixer.
Yeah.
So, but I'm not going to give up. I'm really still hoping we could get a little book out there, 100-page, stop the
Hmm.
spin, and hopefully all that money could go to the Capitol Police Fund. And I want to
Oh,
say something.
nice.
There's a fund out there because there's a fund for those that Capitol Police that committed suicide, and they're
Oh,
still struggling. The Capitol Police to this day are
yeah.
still going through PTSD
Oh,
and
yeah.
a lot of backlash. And I got Henry Dunn's book. I can't wait to meet him one day. Maybe he could sign his book. So get his book, support him any way you can.
Okay.
They deserve our respect and our support.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I agree. And even the ones who backed Trump, many of them did the right thing that day and
Yeah, that's true.
did their
Yeah,
job,
they did their job.
and I respect them for it,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Yeah, because they were outnumbered by a lot and they still were able to hold that capital. So, yeah.
You know though, with their rhetoric that's going on right now, and Trump, you know how dangerous he is. I'm so scared. There will be another January 6th, is what I
Oh, yeah.
believe. A
Yeah.
small one, another
Yeah.
little one. And I say this to the J6ers. What do you want to see? This time, I don't think they'll hold back with those guns. You're going to
Yeah.
see a whole bunch of people just dead on the streets.
Yeah.
And that's frightening. If we don't
Hmm.
start intervening and stopping this, do something. Talk to one person about Project 2025, one Republican, and
Yeah.
let them know about what they're trying to do behind the scenes and how dangerous it is for our country.
I agree. I agree. I,
Yeah.
I, I think it'll be bigger. I think if something goes down, it's going to be much bigger than January 6th. I think it would be in
Yeah.
every state. I think we would see, I fear, I obviously don't want Trump to
Yeah.
win, but I think that if he loses again, it's going to be horrific. I think it will be all out mayhem and devastation. I really do.
But they're going to regret going up against our government.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah. Well,
Good
and I
luck.
also say, they like to think that they have all the guns. And I always
Yeah,
tell
no.
them, you don't know how many guns progressives have because not every Democrat is against guns. I know my husband
No.
could arm a small platoon.
I had to warn my neighbors, let them know what's happening because of the
Mhm.
threats.
Oh,
So
yeah.
they could watch, and they all said, "Well, I have guns." I said, "Well, don't use them.
Yeah.
Call the
Yeah.
police." But it's funny.
Yeah.
I said, "Don't use them, please." But they have to be aware because I've had so many threats that I have
Yeah.
to take a lot of caution right now. Even though I believe it's talk, but you never know. We got lone
Oh,
wolves
yeah.
out there that are kind of crazy. and they
Yeah.
want to shut me up. I understand the Democrats not bringing me in fully right now, because when you say January 6th defendant, the first
Mhm.
thing that goes to their mind is the ones that were hitting officers and pushing the barriers,
Right.
right? I'm put in a box, and
Yeah.
I get it. You don't have to trust me right away. It's going to take people time.
Yeah.
So I got both sides kind of struggling with me, and and
Mm.
that's okay. So I get it, but
Yeah.
just know that I am sorry for ever being there on January 6th.
Yeah.
And this is why I speak out. This is the best I could do to make my amends. I went to prison. I paid my fines. I don't have to do this anymore. However, I feel like I wasn't there for no reason. I really believe that my own understanding of God, that this is what he would have me doing to make amends,
Hmm.
to warn people about Trump and how dangerous he is, and how let them know how to help somebody that's been caught up in the MAGA cult and what they can do. The best I know how to tell them or teach them. But I recommend The Cult of Trump, the book by Stephen Hansen.
Hmm.
That's what's helping me a lot.
Yeah. And I do believe that even if people aren't reaching out to you,
Yeah.
I think that there's probably a contingency of people out there who understand and align with you and feel the same. But because they see that you're getting so much vitriol and hate on Twitter, they
Yeah.
don't want to put themselves, at risk or in the line of fire, and they're not as strong as you or secure, and
Yeah.
you don't know their circumstances, and they probably just don't want to speak out publicly. So,
Exactly. They told me I had a space with over 100 people going, and they got attacked. They got their pages taken down. They said, Pam, I can't associate with you because
wow,
they come after us. It's like, well,
wow,
I'm still doing them. If I get 10 people in there, I'm happy.
yeah, yeah,
Doesn't matter because they're recorded. And
yeah.
the J6ers are listening. So I
Oh
want
yeah.
them to hear the message. That's all it's important. You
Hmm.
never know. One day they might need to come and have a place to go, and they could come to my
Right.
space. You never know.
Yeah, you always want to
Just
leave the
leave the
door
door
open.
open.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's all
Yeah,
we
you
can do.
never
Plant
know
the
when it's the
seed.
right time for someone.
Yeah, we just plant the seed. I believe God does the rest. I'm
Yeah.
just carrying a message. It's
Yeah.
up.
I believe you're reaching more people than what we know right now. And I
Yeah.
think that we'll see one day the fruits of
Yeah.
your labor. So I
Mm.
personally, I admire what you're doing. I admire you. I think the world of
No.
you. And I just think we need more people like you. And we have to, and the
Mm.
Democrats have to leave the door open. We have to be open-minded and open-hearted and say, you know what? Everybody makes a mistake. I'm not going to go embracing someone who beat the crap out of a cop, you know?
I couldn't either. I
Um,
couldn't either. There's a
yeah,
limit.
right. Yeah. Yeah. But,
No.
or if you were some
No.
crazy conspiracy theorist, I would have a little bit of a hard time having a
QAnon.
conversation with you. But yeah, if you went in, you walked
I get it.
around and you left, and you understood that you made a mistake. So, and you paid your
Sure
dues,
do.
and that's all anybody can hope for and expect. And, for anybody out there who's watching right now and says, "Oh, I can't possibly, embrace and accept and get behind someone who did that on January 6th," I just say, then why would anyone else dare to change their mind? Why would any
Exactly.
other January 6th defendant or MAGA supporter bother to try to see the other side and avail themselves of the truth and facts as we know them? They're
Well,
not going to
you
bother
know,
if there's no, if it's a life sentence for them, and and
mhm.
we on the Democratic side are never going to accept anybody, then we're no different or no better than the MAGA cult, and there's no incentive for them to do so.
Well, keep in mind, in 1935, when Alcoholics Anonymous started, the stigma for an alcoholic was horrifying. And that's why they
Mhm.
called it anonymous. You could lose your job. So
Right.
it takes time for people to get rid of the stigma and
Hmm.
accept them as having the mega. is a real illness, and it's hard to wrap that around your head. No, they have choices. Yes, they do, to a certain extent. But understanding what a narcissist does to them helps you understand why they're so sick. If that makes sense, does that make sense?
Oh,
You
yeah.
got to know what the grip that they can pull on a person that's believing that they really do care for this country. But I was going to say, I don't want to forget, we'll be celebrating one day when he goes to prison.
Yeah.
And when
Yeah.
Biden's elected, we're going to have to go out.
I'm hoping for
go
prison or a Big Mac.
I don't see it.
One or the other.
He's not going to be able to get his hamburgers in prison. That's going to be funny. No, we're going to see him in prison. I have faith in Jack. I really do. I don't see with 91. Is it 91 indictments? How's he going to get out
91
of
indictments, yeah. Not all with Jack Smith. I personally, I think the DC case, the DC attempted coup case is the strongest at the moment.
Yeah.
Just because I would think the classified documents case was the strongest because there's the most evidence. It's the most obvious. I mean, it's like you couldn't possibly have better evidence and witnesses of his obstruction of justice, especially. But the thing I hang up on with that case is number one, the judge, who's clearly a Trump supporter, who he appointed, Judge Aileen Cannon, and then the Florida district, trying to get 12 jurors in that area to agree to, to indict or to convict him. That I'd like to think that everybody is as honest as I would be as a juror, but I know that that's not probably the case. So, but for those two factors, I would think that would be the strongest case. But as it stands right now, I think just because we have a strong, honest judge on the DC coup case, and because of the jurisdiction, and because she's not going to let it, just run out the clock, I think it will get to trial before the election.
Just like Al Capone, they got him on taxes. You never know. Isn't he going to court today for sexual assault?
Yeah, it's the second trial with E. Jean Carroll, with the woman that he was found liable of sexual assault, and then one judge said he technically raped her. So,
you would think he'd get prison for this.
Well, no, unfortunately, because of the statute of limitations, she could only go, and try to get money. And sadly,
so no criminal charges.
It's a civil case.
Oh, it's a civil. Okay.
Yeah.
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 Oh, that's disgusting.
This one is specifically for defamation. The previous one was for defamation and also the sexual assault. But again, because it's only civil, because of the statute of limitations, you can only go after someone financially.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Those are our great, misogynistic, sexist laws in this country.
Of course, they say he could still be president in jail, and they would let him be.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how's he going to travel around the country?
Yeah. Or
they would still have him be president.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's beyond a lot of people.
I'd like to think some of these people are just trying to be obstinate when they answer questions, when they're approached by a pollster. I think some of them have just either have not thought it through, the logistics of it, of having a president in prison, or they just are like, I'm just going to be snotty, I'm just going to act like a child and give a ridiculous answer just to piss these people, just to own the libs, So
yeah, you're right. No matter what, they'll die for Trump.
Yeah.
Sad. Really sad.
Yeah. Well, anything else you want to add, Pam, or anything you want the audience to know, or actions they need to take, or?
No, if they ever want to ask me questions, feel free to join me on Twitter. I'm open to talking to people. The main thing is to keep doing all you can to learn about Project 2025 and get that out there, how important it is that everybody understands the danger that we really are in order to get your own family and your own friends that are Democrats to go vote, because a
Right.
lot of them don't vote. So we
Yeah.
need to really get them out there to vote in numbers this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the main thing.
Yeah. Yeah. We need to each educate at least one person ourselves
One
because not
person.
everybody has the time to get online and social media and watch the
I know.
news. And so there, yeah, there's a lot of people out there that are good people. They wouldn't want to see the country overtaken by authoritarianism, but they just don't know what they don't know. They don't know truly
Yeah.
what is at stake and what's going on. So, and I think a lot of people have this misconception of, oh, well, we survived 4 years of Trump before we, we'll survive it again. And they just don't
No.
understand that the likelihood that he will just refuse to leave this next time to stay out of prison
Right.
and that the Republicans will just go full fascist and go
Yes.
along with it, high probability based on what we've seen over the last 7, 8 years.
A lot of people say, oh, it's not going to be like Hitler. You better believe it. It is going to be. It
Yeah,
is. It's real. And
yeah,
it's hard to wrap it around our head. But
yeah, yeah. Well, look at what had just happened down in Texas. I mean, they just let immigrants drown because they wouldn't allow Border Patrol to step in
oh,
and they were drowning.
oh
And the
no.
Texas, yeah, Texas authorities physically blocked them, wouldn't allow them to step in and help them.
Oh
That,
God.
that's what happens in red states. That's what's happening with Trump acolytes like Ken Paxton and the other idiots down there.
But they want to go to their restaurants where they're working, right?
Yeah,
Immigrants, you know.
yeah. And round them up.
Uh,
Yeah. They don't
yeah.
call it Tex ass for nothing.
It's,
No, and I have people that I love there, so I have friends, I have family down there, but yeah, I wish they would get out. Uh, anyway, well, thank you so much, Pam. I really
uh,
appreciate your time and so glad
thank
your
you.
health is doing better and
Oh yeah.
appreciate you.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And again, just
Of course.
everyone, just keep doing your part, no matter what it is. Just it doesn't matter. It counts. Whatever you're
Yeah.
doing does count. It'll
Yeah.
make a difference.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just tell one person about Project 2025. I can't say enough about that.
Yeah.
It's
And like you
important.
said, it's like
There's,
planting seeds. You don't
yeah,
see
just point.
the sprouts right away. You got to keep
Yeah,
watering it, you got to keep feeding it,
yeah,
you know, flashing some sunlight on it, and eventually you're going to see something start to grow. So,
yeah. But do you know the Republican Party? A lot of them I've asked, even on Twitter Spaces, they've never heard about it.
oh yeah.
The
Yeah.
Republican Party themselves, these people, not the
Yeah.
party. I mean,
Yeah,
your
Republican
normal,
voters. Yeah.
yeah, they don't know. I said, you better
Yeah.
go learn. So
Oh
it's
yeah.
important to
Yeah.
learn.
I mean, and I say that happens with both sides. I hate to both sides this issue, but there's a lot of things
Mhm.
that Democrats don't hear if they don't watch
Right,
certain news channels or read certain
exactly.
sources. And then there's things that Republicans don't hear about or read about because they, again, they also don't avail themselves of that
Mhm.
information. Yeah,
Exactly.
I was telling some supporters of the show, good friends of the show recently, that I had a guy that came a couple months, probably a while now. He came to fix the roof because we had a leak. And, Republican, Trump supporter, he asked what I do. And, I didn't know where he leaned at that point. But when I told him, I'm always a little nervous telling a stranger what I do for a living. And so I said, well, he said, oh, I'll have to check out your channel. I said, well, if you're conservative, you might not really like my show. And he's like, well, I'm pretty open-minded, but it came out that he's
Mm.
very much a Trump diehard. And something came up about Jim Jordan. And I told him, I said, he's just, he's not a good guy. And
Mm.
he said, oh, I like him. I think he's a great guy. And I said, well, I said, there was that thing that he's involved in a lawsuit right now, or he was named in a lawsuit because he was covering for the doctor that was treating the students at his college, and the doctor was molesting
Mhm.
them. And there were
Mm.
hundreds of students that he molested. This guy had never heard a word of it,
Yeah.
did not know what I was talking about. And I told him, I'm not going to give you a news source. You can just go Google it. I said, you will find it on many sources. It's been known for years. I said, he's just not a good guy. And this guy was just floored,
Yeah.
had never heard anything. Not that he had heard about it and didn't believe it. He had never heard of it before. So we have to keep that in mind. They just don't know what they don't know.
And like we just said, you planted a seed. And that's
Yeah.
what I was sharing. Just go plant those seeds with people. Don't
Yeah.
worry if they change or not. Just let them know and let them
Right.
think about what you just shared with them. They'll
Yeah.
think about it. You get that worked for me. It helped a lot to hear some facts.
Mm.
That's what got me changing
Yeah. Yeah. It was kind of like how I
facts.
came to be vegan. I went to
Yeah.
coffee with a friend and I thought vegans were nuts. I thought that they were, I thought they were cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And I was always, I've been weightlifting since I was 15. I was very much into bodybuilding and health and nutrition and studied it just on my own. Wasn't formally educated in it. But yeah, I went and had coffee with this friend, and then she tells me she went vegan. I thought, oh God, here, she's gone off the deep end, and but then she just planted some seeds, and I was open-minded enough that I did some research and started looking into things, and I realized she was right. She was 100% right, and I had been wrong all these years. And when I made the change, it was like I had a whole new life, a whole new body, and then I started doing the same thing with people. And it's the same
Yeah.
thing with any subject. It's you
Hmm.
know, some people are gonna
Exactly.
get it, and some people are gonna shut down to it, and you can't force anyone. When
No,
they're
you
ready,
can't.
they'll come to it.
That's all.
Yeah,
Exactly. Well,
yeah.
thank you. I really appreciate you having me on. I
Oh,
really do.
you too, Pam. You
Yeah,
too. Yeah.
I just love your shows.
Ah,
I,
thank you.
yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm trying to do my part.
Well, because the J6ers lie so much. So I
Yeah.
depend on you a lot so I can
Uh,
share them to know the truth about the J6 defendant because they lie about
yeah.
their crimes.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they're all
Yeah.
victims. They're
Hmm.
all they all are,
Yeah.
being persecuted, not prosecuted.
Oh, oh, I missed that. I missed that. Poor Granny. The DOJ's weaponized against you.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh yeah, I love that one.
yeah,
Sorry, they're not. They're not weaponized against J6ers at all. It's a
yeah.
lie.
Oh, I have to tell you one funny thing real quick, and then I'll let you go. I had a woman leave a comment under one of my January 6 videos, and she said she used your story to try to make me feel guilty about exposing the Capitol
Oh,
attack. She said something to the effect of, "Oh, you need to go look into that poor 69-year-old grandma with cancer that the government targeted and victimized." And I responded, but I usually don't respond to the negative comments because I could care less what people have to say. But when they're negative, when they're nice,
right.
I appreciate it. But when they're negative, I'm like, whatever. But with her, I responded and I said, you know what? I said, actually, I have become friends with that 69-year-old grandmother, and we talk all the time. And she was a guest on my show, and she is trying to educate people like you that January 6th was not a hoax and she was not a victim.
Ah,
And I actually
see,
I gave her a link to your Twitter page. So,
see, you never know, huh? Good. I'm glad you did that because we might be
yeah,
helping her. You don't know.
yeah,
We never know
yeah,
who we're helping. Yeah. Just keep trying.
yeah,
Keep getting the facts out there. Just the facts,
yeah,
ma'am.
yeah.
I'm a criminal. I'm not a hero. They're not hostages. They are
Oh,
not
yeah,
hostages.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Trump.
That's so
Oh, God.
offensive.
That's so offensive.
Yeah,
Oh, that's disgusting. Sorry,
yeah,
hostages.
yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again.
Okay.
Really, really appreciate it. And we'll
Thank
definitely
you.
talk soon. I'll come on your
Okay.
Twitter spaces again soon and we'll hang out.
Okay. All right.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. Please like this video, share it with others so you can open some eyes and hearts and minds. And please help support the show if you can. Become a subscriber if you have not already. Thank you all so much. Love you all.